and we have ignored it. For far too long, the situation there has been unacceptable. It is a stain on our city. Systemic issues and lack of leadership have led to routine, inhumane, and violations of human rights. The latest report by the Federal Monitor overseeing the islands found that conditions are previously and continue to be worsening. 16 people in city custody have died this year, including a 55-year-old man who passed away just yesterday. I toured the facility and walked through, and the leadership tried to take me into different areas so I couldn't see exactly what was taking place. And the union membership said, no, we need to go where the crisis is located so you can see it. And I told the leadership there, I will not take another step in that facility and go back to Brooklyn if I'm not going where those members are telling me to go. We are not playing, and we are not going to cover up this dysfunctional system that is unacceptable. Basic health and safety standards were not being met because of the increases of the jail population, lack of resources for staff, not only the correction officers, but the civilian population on Rikers Island is treated in a inhumane fashion. And most importantly, a lack of urgency by city leaders. And so the city has put in plan a motion to close the facility and build new borough-based jails. We cannot wait. Now we must have changes on Rikers Island. We also can't talk about closing the physical structure if we're refusing to close the pipeline that feeds the building. That is why I brought on board Chancellor Banks. That is why I have a new police commissioner that's part of that vision. And that is why I'm making the announcement here today. We need to fully fund initiatives like Fair Future that looks after those young people that age out of foster care and more likely to be a victim of a crime or participate in a crime. We need to target and ensure that we give support to things like dyslexia screening and for those with learning disabilities and mental health issues. The next commissioner of our Department of Correction must be someone who can balance the twin imperatives of public safety and reform. Someone who has a forward-thinking, holistic version for our correctional system on how to move forward. And someone who's emotionally intelligent, a term I'm going to continue to use. That is the prerequisite to being part of the Adams team. You must be emotionally intelligent. How do you lead agencies of this magnitude if you cannot lead your own demeanor and your own interaction? Safety and well-being of the 9,000 correction officers who staff our city jails and prisons. More than 40%, as I indicated, are women, looking after 5,000 inmates. And I'm proud of this appointment today, one of the most significant appointments I could make. Louis Molina, 20 years of experience in law enforcement, most recently as the chief of the Las Vegas Department of Public Safety. As chief of the department, Mr. Molina oversees the 400 employees who staff the city marshal corps and the city jail system. His career has spanned the three main pillars of the criminal justice system: law enforcement, prosecution, and correction. He is a son of the Bronx. I'm not going to hold that against him. So he's from here. He's from our city, knows our city. And when I sat down with Louis, what touched me the most was hearing his life story, hearing about his mom and dad, hearing how they struggled to provide for their families, hearing the real life stories, and understanding how the people who are in these facilities are coming from broken homes, not a home where mom and dad is there, that they're coming from a life of pain with a painless end. That's what I need in my commissioner. He began his law enforcement career with the NYPD. He wore the blue uniform for 13 years. Equally important, throughout his career, he has been a reformer. When he served as first deputy commissioner of the Westchester County Department of Corrections, he was credited with instituting successful rehabilitation and reentry programs. After a DOJ investigation found widespread use of excessive force at the facility, he stepped in and corrected the problem. The acting U.S. attorney at the time called the jail a transformed institution. In his current role as the chief of the Las Vegas department, he championed the 30 by 30 initiative, which aims to ensure that 30% of the department's employees are women by 2030. He shares my vision for a criminal justice system where we, one, support our correction officers. They did not commit a crime to get there. They should have the right to serve the time, perform their duties, and come home safely to their families. Provide humane conditions for inmates. We often forget violent inmates attack other inmates and officers, and that is missing from the dialogue. Reduce recidivism rates. We don't want to have a revolving door system where people spend their entire lives on Rikers Island. And most importantly, work towards a long-term transformative vision for our jail system by stopping the continuation of breaking down barriers, of looking inward and finding the talent that has been sitting on the bench for a long time. How do we have a correctional facility that's predominantly Black and Latino, yet never had a Latino commissioner? How do we have a school system where the students are predominantly Black and brown, but we don't have a Black or brown chancellor? How do we have a law enforcement system where the largest and overwhelming number of encounters are Black and brown residents of this city, yet we could not find a Black or brown woman to head the police department? These are the barriers that I'm going to dismantle, but I'm not going to do it just by finding ethnicity. I'm going to do it by finding the quality that is available in our city. Good players have sat on the bench too long. I'm getting them in the game so they can use their professional experience, their emotional intelligence, and their ability to understand the cultural norms that we need. Cultural competency is part of the criteria that we need to solve the systemic problems that we are facing. And so I'm happy today to announce our new commissioner of the Department of Correction, Mr. Molina.